I am Katie Adams from the CRAFTYBLOGSTALKER.com, and today we are going to be making some really cute Christmas/winter decor with this Snowman Kit frame. I've got all the supplies that we're going to be using laid out on my table here, and don't worry, I will have a complete supply list with links either in the description of this video or in the blog post. We're going to be using a lot of scraps. We've got black, red, blue, orange, and then some transfer tape. I'm going to be using the Beacon 3-in-1 glue. We've got a clear shadow box frame made from acrylic. And you want to make sure that your shadow box does not have holes in the back so you can hang your frame, but this is just going to be like a shelf sitter, so we don't need those holes. We don't want them. We've got glitter, just barely over a pound of glitter, a ruler, a Cricut weeding tool, and a Cricut scraper. The cut file that we are using is a design I created specifically for this project, and you will have access to that SVG for free. In this tutorial, I am also going to share how to use the SnapMat feature. Now, this feature is only available through the Cricut Design Space app, which means you either need to be using a device or a phone. And while you have a choice between a device like an iPad or a phone, I highly encourage you to use a phone. It is much easier using a small device like a phone that you can just hold in your hand. The larger iPad is much more difficult to hold steady long enough to scan in that mat. I'm going to start with a blank canvas, and you're going to want to upload the free Snowman Kit SVG. So you're going to go to upload, and if you need to add the file, you're going to select browse files, and then you can pull up that file wherever you have it saved on your device. I already have it uploaded, so I'm going to click on upload, open uploaded images, and select that Snowman Kit. And we want to measure our box frame so we know how large to make the design. It was advertised as an 8x8 frame, and it's about 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. I'm going to make the design 7 inches on its longest side. Back in Cricut Design Space, I'm going to highlight my design and I'm going to click on Edit. And you can see my design isn't perfectly square. We're 9.21 by 9.51. So I wanted the longest side to be 7. So I'm just going to enter in 7, and that'll change the whole design. I am going to show you how to SnapMat, but first I'm going to click on Make It, just so I can take a look at my different mats and see how big my scraps need to be. So if we're looking at the red, I can move it around a little bit, save some space. So my red scrap needs to be about 4 by 5.5. Then I can bring my scrap vinyl to my paper cutter and cut it down to size and put this piece back in my scrap pile. And we're going to do that for all of our different colors of scrap vinyl. Now that all of our scraps are cut to size, we can remove that cover sheet and we can just place all of these different color scraps on our mat. So all of our scraps are on our standard grip mat. Back in Cricut Design Space, we're going to hit that back arrow. And this time we want to color the entire design the same so we can put it all on one mat. We're going to go to Layers. And then under Basic Cut Operation, we're going to tap that. And we're just going to change all of the colors to black. So now they're all the same colors. Now we can click on Make It. And you can see all of our design is on one mat, but we don't want all of the pieces black. So we're going to click on Snap Mat. I put my mat there on the wall, and I find doing it this way instead of straight over top is much easier. What you're trying to do is perfectly center those balls on the top and on the side of the screen, and then hold the device steady enough, long enough to scan the mat. And this is why using a larger device is much more tricky than using a smaller device like a cell phone. There we go. So after a couple minutes of trying, we got our SnapMat and we want to use it. So we're going to click Use. And now is where we can arrange everything. Now all of our cut pieces are on the right color. As a little tip, if you cannot get the SnapMat to work, that's okay. Just still make everything the same color and then make note of where all the pieces are on the mat. And then you can still put the pieces on the right color. You just won't have the picture of the mat behind. I'm gonna click on next, and I have a mixture of premium vinyl and smart vinyl. So we're just gonna cut everything at the smart vinyl. I'm gonna load my mat and then start to cut. We're done cutting, so I'm gonna unload my mat and I can put my Cricut away. Our pieces are cut, so I can remove my vinyl pieces from my mat. So I'm gonna turn my mat over and remove my mat from my vinyl. This isn't quite as necessary for vinyl pieces, but especially when working with paper, if you try and just peel it up from the mat, it'll curl the paper. So it's just a good practice to always turn the mat over to remove the items from the mat. And we're done with the mat, so right away I'm gonna put that protective sheet right back on. And then we just weed our pieces, and I always start in a corner. I have all the pieces of our design weeded, and I'm gonna bring in my clear acrylic frame. And I am going to be putting the design actually on the back of this. We're gonna make the back of the box the front of the box. So I'm gonna take off the lid, turn that over, and I've got just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol here on my paper towel. So I want to remove any fingerprints or dust, debris, dog hair. I'm gonna do some layering. So I've got a piece of parchment paper here to help me with my layering. And I'm gonna start with my transfer tape and just peel that off. And the first thing we're going to put on is our snowman. And I am going to pay attention to the grid lines on my transfer tape because it will make it easier to apply here in a minute. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna roll that on. Use the little scraper tool and scrape that down the front and the back. And then peel back that backing paper. I'm going to be layering it on this make it yourself. So I've got just a little area exposed. And with that parchment paper down, the transfer tape won't stick to the parchment paper. So it makes it much easier to space the design exactly how I want it. Whoop. So lay that down. We're going to press on that exposed area. Lift out our parchment paper, and I'm actually going to put it underneath so my S doesn't stick to my table. And roll it down. Remove that parchment paper and then remove the backing paper. Then we're going to center this on the back of our clear acrylic frame, shadow box, whatever you want to call it. And I am just going to eyeball that. If you need to measure, that is totally okay. I'm going to roll it on. And then peel the transfer tape straight back. And there is the Make It Yourself Snowman. Next, let's do some assembly required. Not going to do any layering with this one, but we are still going to line it up with the grid, just because that helps straighten it out on the frame. And you'll notice I'm using the same piece of transfer tape. I love this transfer tape because you can use it over and over. I'm going to go over the bottom just with my paper towel again. And we're going to center the Some Assembly Required. Peel straight back. Let's do our face and our nose. Pick up our face. And we're going to layer that with our nose. So again, I'm going to use the parchment paper. Then we can put our face on here. Next, let's do our scarf. And I'm going to go over this area just one more time. And our hat is our last piece that we are putting on. Now we're going to fill our frame with glitter. And I wasn't exactly sure how much glitter I would need, so I bought extra just in case. But I've got a white and like an iridescent-y white just to add a little bit of sparkle in there. I'm just going to add that whole bottle and this whole bottle. And I think that will be good. Last, we are going to glue our lid on. We want to make sure that we glue it on so it doesn't accidentally fall off and we have glitter everywhere. For the glue, I'm going to be using this Beacon 3-in-1. And I've got a little piece of paper I'm going to put underneath just to protect. Now my top, well, now my back has a little nub on one corner. This is to help you take it off, but I want to make sure it's not on the bottom of my frame because then it won't stand upright. I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to go around the edge of my lid with the glue. Now this glue will dry clear. And then I'm going to carefully pick it up and press it into place. I'm going to go around the edge and clean up any glue that seeps out. And I'm just going to keep going around those edges, getting any of that glue that has seeped out. And using a paper towel with isopropyl alcohol is really helping me clean up those edges really nice. And here is the hard part, is we need to let this sit and dry before we turn it over because we don't want glitter to be stuck in those little areas of glue that seep through on the inside. So we're gonna let this sit and dry. This project makes me so excited for Christmas and winter and all of that seasonal crafting with my Cricut. And if you want more fun craft tutorials, make sure to check out my website, thecraftyblogStalker.com. There, I also have a download shop where I have lots of free SVGs as well as SVGs that are available to purchase. And I have great coupon codes there as well that are listed right on my shop. So you don't have to pay full price for any of my SVGs. We have been drying for about an hour and a half and everything on the outside feels dry. So I think we are good to turn it over and take a look at our Make It Yourself Snowman Kit. That is so cute. I absolutely love how that turned out. That is gonna look so great just sitting on a shelf or on a table. If you want more fun at craft tutorials, make sure to check out my website, thecraftyblogStalker.com. Thanks everyone. Bye and happy crafting.